What's up guys, and welcome back to the Bonsai-En YouTube channel. I'm Josh, and today we're going to be having a discussion on how to choose the front of your bonsai tree, so stick around. Okay, so when we're designing our tree, after we've done most of our development, there comes a time when we need to sit down, look at our tree, and really choose a front so then we can base the rest of our structure off of that. But how do we come to the conclusion of what the front of our tree is, what's the back, and what are the sides? Now there's a few things that we can look at to help us make this decision. We don't have to stick to any of these as rules, but if we look at these guidelines to begin with, it may give us the best option for what our front might be. So let's get into having a look at what a few of these things might be. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is kind of tip the tree on all different kinds of angles to see if we can find a good style for the tree. Now, one thing that I like to do personally is before I start choosing my front of my tree, I really like to look at the root base and know what I've got to work with, okay? So, if we're still in development, okay, so say we've still got our tree in our black plastic nursery pot, okay, we're developing. One of the first things that we need to do when we get to the point of choosing a front, choosing a style and all that kind of stuff after we've developed is we really need to find the base of our tree, okay? So, in the springtime, when we can, say we've got the surface of our tree like this, okay? And say we've been working on it. Say we've got a tree like this, right? Say we've got some bends and some movement in it, right? Now we might think, okay, this is our base, and we start choosing a front of the tree off of this base, okay? Now I'm going to get into what to look for later, but there's something important here that we need to recognize, we need to understand. And you guys, if you had watched my video not long ago when I potted up the swamp cypress, you guys would have seen this in real time and a real world example of this happening. But if you want to know beforehand, before you go into the pot, and this is something that I didn't do on the swamp cypress, okay? So a good thing to do is before we start actually choosing the design of our tree, and to avoid having to completely redesign the tree like I did on the swamp cypress, is in springtime start to dig down into the surface, okay? Because let's just say for this tree, and this is the side of the pot, okay? So we can't see through here, we don't know what's in here, but let's just say for a minute we've got x-ray vision. Now let's just say this tree keeps going down and we've got big roots like this and it goes all the way down, and say that's how the tree ends up down in the soil, okay? So we need to dig down to find out where our base actually is. And this could end up actually being the base of our tree. And there might be something more interesting on, say, this side of the tree or this side of the tree, but we don't know because that's buried under the soil. So we need to, first of all, we need to find out where the base of our tree truly is. So, you know, say we work our way down, and one thing that I sometimes do, okay, say this is a situation in development, I use this opportunity to dig down, okay, get rid of all the roots that might be coming off the tree up here, and keep all these roots in here. And then what you can do is actually cut your plastic container, so that's now the top of it, not here, okay, cut your plastic container, and then keep this solid root mass here. So then what we end up with is, if I get rid of this, and by the way, I did order a proper magnetic eraser for this new whiteboard that we've got here, but it didn't turn up for some reason, so we'll have to get onto that. But for now, a rag will do. Okay, so now, moving forward, and I know this is a horrible looking tree, but just bear with me for, you know, educational purposes, let's call it. So now, Now we've got our actual base. This is what we thought we were working with, but now this is what we're actually working with. And we can continue to keep our tree healthy with these roots down the bottom here after we've gotten rid of all the roots that were growing up here. And then this will actually make it easier now when we go into the bonsai pot, because we've got to do less reduction of the root system. Now, keep in mind, this can't be done with all trees, okay? You just got to look under the soil and see what's under there to begin with. That's why I'm doing this first off the bat, just to show you that sometimes under the soil, there's gold under there, sometimes there's nothing. You just got to have a look and see what you got to work with. Okay, now, once we know exactly what we've got to work with, now let me just redraw my illustration here so it's not messy. Alright, let's just say we've got this small pot here now. There's our soil surface. So now we've got our, I'll just draw a completely different tree here. Okay, so now we know exactly what we've got to work with. Now, one of the first things that I like to look for personally when I'm designing a tree is my root base. What have I got in terms of my nabari, okay? Because, now I'm going to just rub this out again so I've got more room, but let's just say we had a tree that's got really compressed roots here, but really drawn out roots just here, okay? This tree, this kind of root system might be really good for a slanting tree, because we've got this compressed root at the front here and this really long root over here that gives us stability in our tree, right? And we might have some little smaller roots out the front here like this. And this would give us a really good slanting type tree, okay? So we might have a, little pad off the back here, and might have another little pad off the front here. So you can see how this root system really gives us this opportunity for a slanting tree. Or the other thing that this might give us opportunity for, okay, is a semi-cascade tree. If we had a square bonsai pot like that, well, actually, we don't want our root system completely hanging out of the pot like that, do we? So let's just say we've got our square pot, right? We've got our drawn out root on this side for stability, and we've got our compressed root on this side. And then we've got our tree like this. Sorry for the really basic designs here. But now you can see we've got our compressed root on this side, our long root on that side, and this has given us the perfect opportunity for a semi-cascade tree. Now, if we were to just have, an even root base, kind of like this, well then that really doesn't give us an opportunity for a slanting tree or a semi-cascade or a cascade. So maybe we start to look for an informal upright design, okay? Because we've got this kind of even root base here, our nabari. Once again, horrible illustration, so bear with me. So, as you can see, by looking at what we have for our nabari, can almost push us in the way of a design. See, this could be informal upright, or it could be a straight up and down tree, just because it's got an even root splay. Whereas if you had one long root on one side and a short root on the other, then you've got the opportunity for a really good semi-cascade, slanting tree, windswept, that kind of thing. Alright, so the next thing that we would look for is also in the root base, but it's our widest base, okay? So we really want the widest base that we can have on our tree. Now, this would be a matter of rotating the tree, and most trees, they're not even in diameter all the way around. So if you rotate it, you'll actually see that it maybe gets a bit shorter on one side, and then as you rotate it, it widens out again. So just rotate the tree and try and find your widest base on the tree. Now this is where we're going to get into start making, you know, choices on what we prefer more in the tree or what is the better feature of the tree. So we look for our widest base. And now the next thing that we look for in the tree is our most interesting line, okay? So where our widest base is, we might not have a very good line. So let's just say we've got this nice wide base on this side, but it leaves us with like this line that's kind of a little bit lackluster, okay? But yet we rotate the tree and our base isn't as wide on one side, but we end up with a bit more dramatic movement in the tree. And we've got nicer branching around this side. You know, it's all in the right spot. We've got more to work with. So you might end up choosing the line of the tree over the widest base. But there's something else that we can look for and also throw into the mix. And that might be any special features the tree has, okay? So you might have a tree that has a hollow on the front, which we call an uro. So you might have a hollow on the front. You might have some kind of interesting bark or whatever it might be. You might have branches in an interesting spot. So these are all kind of special features of the tree. So when we're choosing our front, as you can see, we need to look for what root base we've got, because that might tell us slanting, semi-cascade, informal upright, whatever it might be. We need to look for our widest base. We need to look for our best line, okay? And we need to look for the special features on the tree. Once we've found all those different things, now we need to sit there and find the best of everything, okay? So find a happy medium between the widest base and the best line, okay? You might be able to slightly turn the tree where you get a little bit of the widest base and a little bit of the best line. Or your line might win and you might go for fully, you know, the best line over the widest base. Or you might go for the widest base over the best line. That's completely up to you as the artist. Or a special feature on the tree might actually beat all those out, like a big hollow that goes up one side of the tree. That side of the tree might not have the best root flare or the best root base, but it's got that really special feature that people they're really gonna focus on. And when it comes to the nabari, you can always build out a nabari later, okay? So you can work around that special feature. Same with your branching. You know, if you can induce back budding and really get that tree healthy, you might be able to start new branches and work around whatever that special feature is. So that's how we choose a front to our bonsai tree. So we sit there, we really look at it, put it on every angle. I'm not gonna lie, there's trees that I've bought as upright trees, and as I've looked at it, I thought that tree would look much better upside down. And turned it completely upside down and turned it into a cascading tree. I've got a lemon center tea tree that I did that too. And now it's one of my best cascading trees that I've got. So it's all just a matter of, you know, tilting it side to side, back, front, and looking at all those different angles. A few other things that we want to kind of take into account is when we're choosing the front, do we have a really 3D design? Okay, does the tree move left, right, back, front? Also, we kind of want our apex leaning towards us a little bit. So are we able to manipulate that apex to come back towards us and give us that welcoming feeling that we're looking for in our bonsai tree? Just adjust that apex. Now, once again, these aren't rules, these are just guidelines, and these are things that you can add into your knowledge base, and this will help you when you're sitting down to look at your tree, just come up with the best way to choose the front for your particular tree. Alright, so that's it for today's lesson. Just a quick one on how to choose the best front, or just giving you the tools to focus on your tree, and just so you can sit down and have a look for yourself, and you'll have those things now that you can fall back on and say, okay, I'm looking for the widest space, best line, special features, What's my root flare like? I've put it on all the different angles. Did something jump out at me? And we'll do videos later on different styles of bonsai that are all out there, because we know that we've got formal upright, informal, semi-cascade, slanting, cascade, broom style, windswept. We've got all these different styles out there. So the more you study these things, the more that they'll just pop into your head when you're actually looking at a piece of material to work with, and, you know, see what's in there. One other thing I'd just like to point out too before I go is, if you do have some inverse taper in the trunk, try and hide that by twisting it, okay? So just have a look, rotate the tree and see if you can hide it. And even if you can bring foliage down in front of it, whatever you've got to do, just to try and get rid of that. Because even though some people say, oh, we don't, you know, follow rules or whatever, inverse taper doesn't look the best. So if you can hide that by just rotating the tree, all the better. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll leave a bunch of links down in the description below for our free forum, our Juniper book, our merchandise that you can go and purchase, our blog. Don't forget to go and check out some of our other videos. Share, like, subscribe. But until next time, enjoy your bonsai journey.